In this lesson, you're going to learn how to broadcast your socket.io events. Now, this is going to lead us to two practical features for our chat application. The first one, when a new user joins, all other connected users are going to have a little message show up saying that a new user has entered the chat room. And when a user leaves the chat room, all connected users will see a message saying something like a user has left the chat room. Now, for the moment, there are no usernames for the individual connected clients, though that's something we'll fix a bit later on in the section. For now, the goal is to just get those messages showing up. One when a user joins and another when a user leaves. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to do this by heading over to index.js, as we're going to make some changes to the callback function for the connection event. Now, when it comes to emitting events, we have two ways to get that done. The first is to use socket.emit. We know that emits the event to the single client that we're referring to. And we also have io.emit, and we know this emits the event to every single connected client. When we broadcast an event, we send it to everybody except the current client. So that's going to allow us to send a message saying something like a new user has joined to everybody except the new user who's joining. So right here, what we're going to do is use the following. That is socket.broadcast.emit. Now, emit works here just like it works anywhere else. The only difference is that it's going to send it to everybody except this particular socket. So right here, what I can do is emit a message, and I can say something like the following: a new user has joined. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and actually test this out. What I'm going to do is navigate over to Chrome, and we have our two tabs opened up. I'm going to close down the second tab, though I'll create a new tab first so the whole browser window doesn't close. Then I'm going to refresh the first tab. Over here, as expected, I see my welcome message. Now, from the second browser window, what I'm going to do is open up the developer tools one more time, and I'm going to navigate over to localhost on port 3000. Now, when I do so, I would expect to see just the welcome message here, and that is exactly what I'm getting. And over here, I would expect to see a message saying a new user has joined, and I'm getting that as well. So now we have three ways that the server can emit an event. I can use socket.emit to emit it to that particular connection. I can use socket.broadcast.emit to emit it to everybody but that particular connection. And finally, io.emit to send it to everyone. So there are cases where you want to use all three. It's not like one is better than the other. They just do different things, and they're going to be used in different situations, depending on who should be notified about what's going on. Now, one more thing we're going to do is make sure that all connected clients also get a message when a user leaves. Now, to get that done, we have to figure out how we can run some code when a user gets disconnected. For example, when they close their browser tab. Now, there are two main built-in events, and one we already explored. That was io.onConnection, which allowed us to run some code when a given client connected. We also have another event that allows us to run some code when a given client gets disconnected. Now, this can be a little confusing because it does not use io.on. We're only ever going to use io.on for connection. If I want to run some code when a given socket gets disconnected, we use socket.on inside of our connection callback. Now, in this case, we're also using a built-in event, so the name needs to match up exactly. That is disconnect. Now, there's no need to emit either the connection event or the disconnect event from the client. These are built-in events, so the socket.io library takes control over actually emitting these. All we have to do is set up the listener right here. Now we're going to run some code, and this code is going to run whenever a client gets disconnected. Now, in this case, we actually don't need to use broadcast because the client has already been disconnected, so there's no chance that they get the message. Now, what we're going to do is send this message to every single client who is still connected. That is io.emit, right here, emitting message and saying something like a user has left. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and see if this actually works as expected. What I'm going to do is save the file, and over inside of the browser, I'm going to take this second browser window, once again create a new tab and close the old one. Then I'll refresh just the one page which is open at localhost 3000. As expected, it's the first user and we get our welcome message. From here, let's bring that second one into the mix. That is localhost on port 3000. Now, when I join, I can see a new user has joined, and if I go ahead and close that browser window, I see a user has left. So by adding just 4 lines of code, we're able to set up messages for when users join and leave our chat application. Now, this is going to allow us to build all of the features you'd expect from a chat app, and we're going to continue to use socket.io to get that done. That's where we're going to stop for this one. I'll see you in the next lesson.